I'm Jan Doyle. Welcome to Wyse Talk. Today's guest is a real thrill for me to have on the show. He's a member of the BCTV staff, and he's the designer of this brand new podcast video studio that we're sitting in. His name is Doug Sisson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jan.
I'm so happy to have you here. Now, when I came and looked at this new set, I was curious to know, why was this created at BCTV?
Well, Jan, BCTV, can I go into the funding?
You can do anything you want. You're the creator. You're the designer. You're the guest.
Branford Community Television's funding and all public access community television stations throughout the state's funding primarily comes from a small fee on cable TV subscribers' bills. And other than that, we can do fundraising. Sometimes we'll rent out a studio to a paying company. But most of the funding comes from that. As we've been having more and more cord cutters, people who drop cable television, just stream things on the internet, we're losing funding. All the stations are losing funding. And we're trying to do everything we can to stay relevant, to be important to the community so that, we can try to find other ways to replace that funding we've lost. And then also just traffic, foot traffic, people through the door. Since the pandemic, we lost a lot of regular producers. I mean, you were one of our most prolific producers before the pandemic, Jan. But once we closed down for the pandemic and we reopened, most of our regular producers didn't come back. And we were suffering a situation where, nobody was utilizing the facilities here. So we wanted to change things up, look for something interesting, something new we can do. And we had this room here. It was just a storage room. It was filled to the ceiling with things. And it was a pretty plain office-looking room with the white acoustic tile ceiling and fluorescent lighting, white walls, had scuff marks and dings and holes all over them. Just this terrible-looking blue carpet on the floor with tons of different stains on it. And it was really run down, worn out. And then we even had a flood down here in this space. So there weren't even baseboards on the bottom of the walls. It was not a good-looking room. But the nice thing about it is because its location and down on the lower level of this building, it's very isolated from sound. Where our normal TV studio upstairs has the street very close by. This
and the railroad. I remember doing shows.
Oh, yeah.
And the train would go by.
Yes.
And do its train thing, and I'm thinking, that's interesting.
Yeah. So if you came down here and just sat here and listened, it was already so much quieter than our TV studio upstairs that I thought this would be a great space for a podcast studio. We actually had a producer reach out to us about a year and a half ago, and they asked what our podcasting capabilities were. And we had equipment that we could use. It wasn't necessarily for podcasting, but we had equipment we could use. The space we had upstairs, though, the audio, it just wasn't going to be great. It's a very large room with high ceilings, a lot of reflective sounds. Like I said, the noises from the street. And so the producer kind of planted the seed of the idea. And then I decided this room would be good. I mean, it's a smaller room, so we can't have a ton of people in here. But the acoustics in here were already really good just to start with. And then we did a bunch of things to improve that.
This room has a good vibe to it. I remember when I sat down here a few weeks ago for the first time, it just has a nice feeling. In fact, I'm losing my headset. In fact, I was thinking of not leaving because I wanted to kind of sit here and read, have some coffee, but it was really unkind that you threw me out. I'm just saying. But
no borders, Jane. No borders.
But this is a really nice room, and it's small, but I think it really, only a few guests. But really, on a podcast, you only want a few guests. Does this also do video? So when we're taping for a
we're doing video right now.
So what is the advantage of then going upstairs in the regular video room?
If you needed more space, if you needed green screen, if you wanted to have a big TV behind your set where things can be displayed on it, there's some things that it would be hard to pull off in this small room. Mm-hmm. And also the cameras we have upstairs in the TV studio are very high quality.
Yes, they are.
They are, they're cinema cameras. They're called. They're actually rated. You can use them to film content for Netflix. They're on the approved camera list for Netflix. So you're going to get the best looking video up there. Down here, the focus is a little more on audio. Cameras aren't quite as good. The lighting isn't quite as elaborate. But
Well, I noticed the audio. Actually, I like the way you sound on audio. And are these microphones a special deal? Something that you don't buy at the local discount store?
right. These are, if you watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube or any of those other venues, you'll see these microphones get used in a lot of them. They aren't the best microphone available in the world, but for the price point, they are the go-to microphone for professional podcasts.
Well, you said something interesting to me, and actually I was part of it, where I stopped with the pandemic. I didn't continue my show. And then I was asked to come back, and I thought, and I was asked more than once, and then I was asked to be on the board, and I thought, but then when I heard
very honorary during that time period, Jan.
when I heard about the podcast studio, that just really implanted something where I just reignited my interest. So let's take a tour. You took some pictures. They're not my photos, but let's take a tour of the podcast room via the photos that you took. And the director outside is Mike, and he put up the first one. Could you tell us about it?
This is a view toward the guest where I'm sitting. And you can see a variety of things like the black ceiling. We have LED lights now where the fluorescents used to be. These are solid LEDs, or at least they look like they're solid LED panels instead of tube lights. We've got various acoustic treatments on the walls. Those hexagons there are acoustic treatments.
They are. I have to mention, I didn't tell you this last time. Those are patterns people use in quilting.
Oh,
and I thought maybe you were trying to do it as homage to me.
Oh, of course, Jan. Yes.
So, but those
when I picked them out, I said, Jan Doyle will love this. Love it.
Jan Doyle loves this, and I love the details on the tile. Who made the arrangement on the backboard?
That's just it's kind of random. I sat there with some what we call gaffer's tape, and I just kind of put gaffer's tape on the back of them and just started placing them in different places and moving them around until I found a pattern that was random, but also just like looked visually appealing and would do the job of, absorbing some sound. You don't want a solid wall.
Interesting.
In a podcast studio because the sound reflects. It bounces off everything that's solid. So this will break up those reflections. If you were doing a recording studio for music and you wanted to have perfection, you would have the entire wall covered in acoustic treatment. You wouldn't have anything showing for hard surfaces. But the podcast studio, we're not. It's not as demanding acoustically.
Well, that's interesting. But I'm also thinking you have a career in quilting because it's a nice arrangement. If this BCTV thing doesn't work out, think about quilting.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Quilts are expensive, Jan.
They are. I'm just saying.
I wanted to buy one once at a fair. Outrageous. I was going to have to mortgage my home.
Hey, it's a quilt.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a quilt.
I mean, it is a quilt. So
it's worth it.
So our next shot that we have is a little bit tighter, I believe. Now,
well, this is looking toward the host's side.
Okay, that's where I am.
That's where you are. And in your close-up shot, it's hard to see that whole background there. But different people, if they want, can put the furniture in different ways and have those other aspects, those other features behind them. And you see, like we talked about the tiles that are acoustic. Mm-hmm. We also have that what's called a slat wall, a wood slat wall, and it's individual strips of wood, but it's mounted on top of a very thick, absorbent felt material. So what happens is some of the sound will get reflected off those slats. There's no way around it, but a lot of it will get broken up and reflected in different directions by the sides of the slats and also absorbed by the thick felt underneath it. And if we go back to that shot again, what I wanted to do, most of the podcasts I've seen those walls used in, they just mount them vertically. I've even noticed them like at a check-in desk at the hotel I went to at one point. They were using them there as well, just for visual reasons. But everyone does them vertically, and I want to do something different, something that make it stand out from how it's normally done, and that's why I did the diagonals there.
I really like that.
It was a lot more challenging to install with the verticals, but the diagonals there.
Now, I noticed on the wall there was this metal thing in the middle. What was that? I think we have another shot at that. What is that metal thing?
That's a drum cymbal. That little sort of starburst thing of LED lighting in the middle there.
Yes.
That traditionally most people just kind of install those vertically, one next to the other. And there's power wires that go from the bottom of each one of those strips of light, one to the next to the next. And then there's a little control box. And when I figured out that I wanted to do that starburst pattern instead of just doing them vertically, I did that, but then I had all those wires and that control box just exposed, and I knew I had to cover that up with something. And I figured something round would work. And while I was making the studio, I had a lot of music playing all the time because, I like to have music playing when I'm working, but also I wanted to get a feel for the acoustics of the room. And I don't know, just something about listening to all that music. Drum cymbal popped in my head for the idea. And then when I was looking for a drum cymbal, I didn't have a ton of money left in the budget at this point. So I was looking for something cheap. And sure enough, online, I found one that's very affordable. And the reviews all said the same thing. Looks wonderful because of all those little holes all over it. Looks really nice. Sounds horrible. And because we're never actually going to use it in a drum set, I'm like, well, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need.
So I had to get a little creative with it where if you look at that shot again, you'll see that there's a wing nut holding the drum cymbal onto the wall.
Yes.
That took a little, bodging, if you will, to figure out how to get that to work. But that works. And then behind it, I wanted some of the light of these LED strips to kind of shine through those holes, but I also wanted to block the view of all the cables, all the wires. So I literally used copy paper. I used copy paper,
Really?
cut it in a circle, put it behind the cymbal, and then the light diffuses through those holes, but you don't see the wiring.
Doug, I think I have a new appreciation for your talents. I worked with you for hundreds of years, hundreds upstairs, and hundreds. And I don't think I ever really appreciated how creative you were and how much thought went into this. And what occurs to me is many people put podcast studios in their home, but it just doesn't match the quality that you're going to find here.
Right. I mean, my goal with the studio was to create a space that's cozy and inviting, that's visually appealing, that looks good, and of course has to sound good. Because anyone can buy this equipment. It's not cheap, but anyone can buy this equipment and put it in their home. But if you don't have the right acoustics in the room, if you don't have the acoustic treatments, it probably won't sound as good. And anyone can put cameras in their space as well. But I mean, here at BCTV, we have someone that will run those cameras, that will run the audio, that runs that switcher. So you're not doing this all solo. So if you don't have good content, you don't have good content. But if you have good content, we will make sure your good content sounds and looks as good as possible. And that was my goal with this.
Well, I think that's accurate. And you brought up something is in the other room, people can't see him, is Mike. He's helping. And what is Mike's job doing?
Mike is the director right now.
And what exactly is he doing?
I mean, he'll adjust the robotic cameras if necessary, if I move around too much. He's switching between cameras. He's putting up graphics on the screen. He was putting up those still images, making adjustments to audio levels if necessary. And so.
And that's impossible to do if you have your own podcast studio.
I mean, it would be very hard to do. There's equipment out there to kind of run these things solo, but it's a lot more challenging. And we actually have we can set up the equipment in this room so that if a producer wanted to run their own show and switch the cameras and put the graphics on the screen, I can actually set up a little control box on the desk here, and they can actually run the show completely by themselves. But
why would they want to?
So some people want that level of control, and
Okay.
That's up to them.
Well, first of all, Mike, I never want you to leave me. And second of all, Doug, you're here for life. So we have that settled, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm just saying.
They locked me in with a life contract.
This is worse than your marriage, Mike. Doug.
Yeah.
Your marriage you can divorce. We can't get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Are we finished with the show? The shots? Are there more images?
I think there's maybe one more. Okay, so.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
I love this one when you showed me. Explain what this is.
This is it's a mixer. It's specifically designed to be a podcast mixer. So normal audio mixers have inputs for microphones and level adjustments. This, in addition to that, it has effects to basically make adjustments to the audio to make it sound a little more full for podcasting.
Can I hit some of the effects?
And then, of course, there's those buttons there. Excellent. Yeah, so you can load any kind of audio clip into those buttons.
Thank you. I'll do one more.
Well,
thank you.
You have to do the air horn, Jaron.
Which one is the air horn?
I think it's the yellow one.
I think
That's classic podcaster right there.
Is that really?
Yeah.
All right, I want to do the blue one.
Yeah.
That was very quick.
Yeah. So intro music, if you have intro music, we can load that in there. If you have special effects you want to play during your show, you can do that. If you want to sound like the 90s drive time radio where they do all kinds of special effects things when they make a joke, you can do that.
Well, this is so much fun. What are all these other buttons and knobs for?
Basically, the rest of it is more of a traditional mixer, audio mixer. And those sliders are just to set the audio levels. So you can turn things up louder or quieter. And the other buttons there will mute the microphones or unmute the microphones.
Oh, so I could mute you?
You could.
Oh.
You could. Something you normally can't do, so enjoy it.
Yeah. Now, do many hosts play with those buttons?
Not so much yet, but I mean, this is new. And
it's brand new.
We have just 2 other producers right now. But we did actually, one of the first shows one of our producers did, he had Jamie Cosgrove, the first selectman of Branford, come in, and Cosgrove had been here a couple days earlier when we did our grand opening, and I was showing him the special effects and all that. And at one point late in the show, he told a joke and he leaned over and did the rim shot. Perfect timing. It was good.
It's good to know what those are for.
Yeah.
And besides all that, it's just kind of pretty and looks nice on the table.
Sure.
You know, so
more visual appeal.
More visual appeal. Now, I also noticed there are strips of light around the room. What are those strips of light for?
It's all just LED lighting. Again, this is to make it more visually appealing. These lights are capable of doing all kinds of flashy things. We don't want that necessarily going on during a podcast because it could be distracting.
Yes, it could be.
So we just have some mild strobe effects going on during the show. But you could do all kinds of fancy things with these lights. They're all sound reactive. So if you want, you can, as you talk, they can get brighter or change colors. And we can customize the color. So if you have like a brand, if you have a logo for your show and it's all primarily like red or blue or something, we could change the colors to match your branding.
Is that a hard thing to do, or?
No. We have an app on an iPad, and
you have an app for that.
We can make custom patterns. And that's a little more difficult. We can have different colors like pass by at different times and stuff. And
now, is there any award that you could apply for creating this? Because this really is a terrific studio. I think you should be up for an award for this.
I don't know. I haven't really looked into that, if there's any way to do that. But if you want to, Jan.
I can nominate you for this award because this really has such an, and I feel the air conditioning, and people aren't going to know this, but it's very, very hot outside.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's 85 right now, 86.
Oh, my car said 92, and it's just lovely in here. We don't have that much time left, and I wanted to get into wrap up about the looks of the studio, but I want to know a couple of more things. Who can use this studio?
All right. Well, we exist. Public access TV, community television, whatever you want to call it, exists to serve the community. Our primary mission is to get content from community members broadcast on cable television. That's why we exist for the most part. There's a lot of extra things we've done beyond that to help the community create content. I mean, some locations in the state, if you want to have content broadcast, you literally have to make it offsite with your own equipment, and then you just bring it to the cable company and submit it to them, and they put it on a channel. But here we do everything. We have equipment that we can loan out to the public at no charge, so they can go out and capture town events. We have a TV studio upstairs. We have the podcast studio downstairs. We broadcast everything from this location.
I've seen people out with cameras, someone holding the camera and someone with a mic, and like at the town fair and different events and down Branford Point. So I've seen people do that.
Yeah. Not only can you loan out this equipment at no cost, but we offer training on how to use it all. We offer training on pretty much everything we do here. So if you want to, you can learn how to operate a camera and capture things out in the field. You can learn how to run a switcher in our studio control room. You can learn how to run audio mixer. You can learn how to do editing, post-production editing, which is where we take the content and do stuff to it afterwards. We offer training in all this. Again, no charge. And this is for people that live or work in the town of Branford. That is the one requirement, because there are other community television stations in the area to serve other communities. We only serve Branford. But I'm
thinking that when you mentioned all the things that you train on, the switchers and the director out there and all the different roles, I'm thinking this would be absolutely terrific for high school and college kids to intern here.
Yeah, we have an intern program.
What is that about?
It was a little more active, again, prior to the pandemic.
Right.
But we did have, I think we had 4 kids the last time we ran it. Not this year, but the year before. And the intern program, it's great. If you have, middle school, high school kid that's interested in getting involved in production, because, most places you have to be over 18. If you go to one of the local TV stations, you have to be over 18. You have to be in college probably. A lot of them are union shops where all the people that touch all the equipment are union employees. So you don't actually get to touch any of that equipment. You don't get to run any of that equipment. Where here you're going to be hands-on with everything and anything.
What's the youngest age that can come here?
When I first started here, and this is almost 20 years ago now, we had a 6th grader that used to help out with shows. And then he helped out all the way through till he went away to college.
What a fantastic opportunity. Yeah. And you also said something that's really key, is free. All you have to do is put in the time. And if you thought you had an interest in doing this is a good way to figure out if you want to make a career out of it. Maybe you come in here and you find out you hate it, and that's okay.
Sure.
But if you come in here and you find out you love doing Mike's job, running the director board out there, I don't think that's the correct terminology. What is that called?
A video switcher.
If he runs the video switcher. And my job, I would need severe training on this thing because I want to make sure I get all the noises correct. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you don't want to hit the wrong noise.
I just don't want to do that.
Ruin the show.
Oh, what's the birds?
It's a cricket. It's crickets.
That's cricket. Oh, I would.
Someone told a joke that fell flat. Crickets.
That's perfect timing because I just did that. But so I think that's fantastic. If someone wanted, who hears this podcast or sees the video, how would they contact you? First of all, if they wanted to be a host or if they wanted to be an intern.
Well, if you want more information on those things, I highly recommend our email. It's info at BranfordTV.org. Again, info at BranfordTV.org. You could also call 203-481-3232 and leave a voicemail. But we've, like a lot of places, we've been having staffing difficulties since the pandemic. So people aren't always here every day to check those voicemails.
I think probably what you're saying is send an email. And again, what is that email number?
Info at BranfordTV.org. Branford TV, one word.
This is a great opportunity because I know I just enjoy doing it, and it keeps me out of trouble. And now I just, well, seldom do I get into trouble because,
Well, you've got the midnight basketball now, so that keeps you out of trouble at night, and then you got this during the day.
So, Doug, is there anything else that I haven't covered that you'd like to say?
Yeah, to use the facility for free, you do need to be a member of the community or work in the community. And the content you produce has to be for nonprofit reasons. Mm-hmm. If you have commercial content, if you have a new business you open in town and you want to talk about your business and pitch, a sale that you have going on, something like that, that's not why we exist. We exist for nonprofit use specifically. But we do offer to rent out these facilities at a fee. And then then people from outside of the community can also use it. You can do commercial content and pay a fee, and anyone can come in and use these facilities.
And that fee will help with the continuing budget that you're losing. Actually, I never knew
that. It's that and fundraising are those are the only two ways we get funding besides those cable subscriber fees. The town has been helping out more and more each year, help replace some of that lost funding. But yeah, we do some studio rentals, and that does help defray some of the costs.
I don't think people, myself included, I don't think I ever really understood how this was funded. I thought the town did it totally.
A lot of people think that, yeah. The reason we exist, the reason we get funding from the cable companies is because a long time ago, they wanted to come into town and they wanted to put their wires up on the telephone poles. And those telephone poles are in what's called the public right of way. It's that part of your property, the front of your property near the street where the town could come in and they could put a sidewalk in if they want. And they could put poles in there for telephone lines, and they could put signs for the street. So they wanted to use property that wasn't theirs to run their wires. So basically the compromise was, we'll let you do that. You have to help the community get their message out, get their community's voice heard. And that's what created community television or public access.
Interesting. You're a fountain of knowledge.
Thank you. I've been doing this a long time now.
I should be nicer to you, really.
You really should.
I really should.
You really should.
Doug,
I can do things with editing. Make you look like a fool.
I know you can. Doug, thank you so much for appearing on Wyse Talk. This was extremely interesting, and to be able to concentrate on your creativity, and I'm going to call it your baby, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I worked a long time. I did basically all this by myself, and not just the design, but actually building it. And it was a lot of fun because as I was building it, certain parts of this were in the original design. Other parts kind of evolved. The ideas popped in my head while I was doing things.
Yes.
And it was a great outlet for my creativity, but also it was fun to actually do the building itself. And I'd love to do more work like this. When it was done, it was almost a little bit of a letdown for me.
Well, I could see you doing more work like this.
I would love to.
I also could see you as a host. I'm just saying. Because your voice is, you have a voice for a microphone.
Sure. I've got the voice, but unfortunately, what's up here, nobody wants to listen to that.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you could always text me at or email me. I'm trying to think, what is my email address?
What is your email, Jan?
I'll get back. I think it's wiseworks at, I don't know off the top of my head.
You don't have it on a piece of paper,
No,
Jan.
I don't. I should.
Jan,
Anyway,
I expected to be more prepared.
I really.
You know what we'll do? We'll find out the email and we'll put it on the screen for you in post-production.
Bless you, child.
That's what we
Thank
do.
you so much for watching. Bye now.